service at my sister, at my place.
He told me.
How could he do that and leave his congregation?
They're live streaming it or zooming it,
Yeah.
and so it's going to be. Yeah, he was explaining because I just talked to him and he told me about that.
If you did that, that wouldn't be yours.
He told me they have 10 family residents there. We have 3, including you. So it's on their radar. Yeah.
Matovu? Do you mean Lakadodi?
Which one, Mom? A Lakadodi or a Matu?
Likrat Kala. Yeah, every time I do it, you always, the next week are like, yeah, that one's in my head.
It goes through my head all night in the shower, everything.
Well, if you'd like to leave tonight during Lakadodi, I'll understand. I pick it because I know you like it, because people sing along with it. Next week will be different.
We were having a discussion before the service about whether people watching from home can be counted toward a minyan. And in fact, there's quite a few conservative congregations that say yes.
Yeah.
So I said, if conservative says yes, we can say yes.
So let me ask you. 4 Torahs in there. Does that count for 4 people?
That's a urban fiction.
Yeah, I've always been like, okay, if there's an ark, no matter how many Torahs, you get 1 from that.
But people watching from home, taking the time and effort, I say yes.
For me, when I think of that, when I see like Zoom where I can see the boxes, then I'm like, absolutely. When it's just the general and I don't know that like how many people are, then I'm like, oh, that's a more difficult question.
But
I need a rabbi for that.
We'll do the full service whether we have a minyan or not.
Of course.
Unlike conservative warfare,
Yeah.
where they leave out certain places.
Yeah.
Too.
I was about to say, I think in Lev Shalom that they changed that, but and now I'm thinking about like, no, I think they said I noted Chafsi Kendi should like only said in the presence of the minyan. Yeah.
Oh, is he coming to the religious school?
To fix the rice.
Shabbat, where we enter a liminal time, where we're between normal and holy. I bring you Nigun to help us go through from one time to another.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
As always, Shabbat Shalom to those in the sanctuary. Shabbat Shalom to those viewing from home. Did you by chance look up at the night sky last night, or even toward the west, the early morning sky this morning? If you did, you would have seen a beautiful full moon. Actually, a blue moon, because it's the second full moon in the month. That's rare. And in terms of its positioning, extra bright and really very beautiful. But what that means also, this being the full moon of the Hebrew month of Elul, is that we stand exactly now 2 weeks before Rosh Hashanah. Because when the new moon arrives, that's the new year. It's all lunar when it comes to the designation of the holidays. In fact, in 2 weeks at this very hour, it will be Erev Shabbat and it will be Erev Rosh Hashanah as well. So Elul is a month of preparation and turning, and you sense that a little bit in nature, and we're supposed to internalize that as well. So this morning when I glanced up and still saw the beautiful full moon near the horizon, it was also 56 degrees at 6 a.m. as I was cycling at dawn. Beautiful, crisp air of fall. Never mind that we're going to have a heat wave this week, but the signs of turning in terms of the approach of autumn and the approach of ourselves to the new year has begun and is almost upon us. At the end of the service, we'll be singing a song about turning, but now to continue our welcome of Shabbat, we turn to the Lecha Dodi on page 20. And to greet Richard.
Lecha Dodi
on page 27, Lamdeni Elohai Barech Vehitpalel Al Sod Alei Kamel Al Noga Pri Bashel. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Together, teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days, lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. The call to worship on the next page. Seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach she'arim, u'vitfuna mishaneh itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'misader et hakochavim, b'mishmeroteim berakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, כולל אור מפני חושך, וחושך מפני אור. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, מבדיר בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו. אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב Aravim. From the world around us to the world within us, Ahavat Olam, page 32. join together in the Shema V'Ahavta. Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשיטתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. This past Monday was the 60th anniversary of the Great March on Washington. I'm sorry that I was just a little kid and not old enough to attend at that time. Could you imagine having heard Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream in person, and right before him, Newark, New Jersey Rabbi Joachim Prince, a civil rights leader and refugee from Nazi Germany who gave a wonderful short speech before King. 16 years later, in 1979, I did attend a march on Washington. In fact, I skipped my graduation from Duke University, the ceremony, in order to attend this march on Washington. You know why there was a march at that very time? It was just after 3 Mile Island, the near nuclear catastrophe, and there was a big protest, and my best friend and I, much to the chagrin of my mother and father, thought it was more important to be in Washington than at our college graduation. Still got a diploma, fortunately. But the March on Washington was an epic event that changed the course of the civil rights movement. But this same week that we noted the 60th anniversary, there was a terrible, tragic shooting, a hate crime shooting that targeted African Americans in Jacksonville this week. Just another dramatic example how the work is unfinished, the marching is unfinished. Before our prayer of freedom, to this very point, on page 39, there's what I consider to be a very strong, very powerful reading here. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Mi chamocha. Page 42, grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Ashkiven. Page 44, the people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time.
Israel, oti leolam, oti leolam, v'shamre Elohim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz v'shamru
Bnei Israel et Shabbat לעשות את
השבת לדורותם
ברית
וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Did you know that there are 7 people waiting for us to recite the next prayer? That would be our patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and our matriarchs, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel. They're waiting because they're mentioned in the next prayer. We rise for the Tefillah Amidah, starting on page 46.
Open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, B'kolei Hakol, V'zocher Chasedei Avot V'imahot, U'mevhi Geula Livnei Bneihem, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מוריד הטל, מקלקל חיים בחסד, בחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, צומק נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך כמה גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך מנית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך הסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. Page 57. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. Together, there may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. The Song of Peace, Shalom Rav, on page 60, concludes this section.
Shalom Rav,
Al Yisrael Amcha,
Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki Ata Melech Adon, Lechol HaShalom. Ki Ata Melech Adon, Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'kol em ובכל שעה
Nishmomecha.
Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim
Now, at the end of the Amidah, our thoughts turn to those of our loved ones in need of healing, be this a healing of body or healing of soul. We take a moment to bring to mind specific people that we know in need of this healing. And extend the Misha Berak prayer that we now sing to all those in need of healing.
Of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Bless those in Spirit, and let us say, Amen.
As I mentioned at the start of the service, this is the season of turning, summer into fall, and spiritually into the new year. Some creatures make great preparations for their turning and their long journeys back. All summer I've hardly seen the hummingbirds at our hummingbird feeder. I don't know why they were so scarce, but as if on cue, they've gone into a feeding frenzy this past week. Every meal that I had out on the deck, there they were, separately. The female, larger with the white, the male, smaller, but with the ruby throat, ruby hummingbirds. So they're storing up on that glucose for their incredible journey. They're the size of a thumb all the way to Central America. It's almost like at the end of the book of Deuteronomy, there's a frenzy going on too, because the journey of the Israelites through the desert is about to come to an end. The new chapter of crossing over is going to begin. Moses is coming to the end of his life. He knows that. And he has to warn the people about the journey ahead. So the theme that I mentioned last week and the week before of the choice between blessing and curse, it comes back, as I'll say more about it, intensely in this Torah portion yet again for like the third or fourth time. It's like, gotta understand, two paths in front of you, blessing, curse, better choose wisely, otherwise major consequences. So as we pause for a moment of our own silent reflection, let's think about one thing negatively we can pull away from, the curse side, and one thing positive, the blessing side, that we can move toward, away from one, toward the other.
Return to the land of your soul.
This week's Torah portion envisions a ritual, a national ritual involving the entire Israelite people. And Moses explains, acting on God's behest according to the Torah, just what this ritual involves. It's not very well known or well remembered, but it takes up a good part of this week's Torah portion. Moses explains, when you cross over the Jordan, you're going to find two mountains, two hills in front of you. The Jordan is not much of a river these days, but the mountains, they're not huge mountains, but they exist to this day. Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal. And Moses says, I want you to assemble all of the people. And then I want half of the tribes, their leaders, to go up to Mount Gerizim. That is going to be the mountain of blessing. And then take the other half, the other 6 tribes, and their leaders with the Levites go up Mount Ebal. And that's going to be the mountain of cursing. And the Levites are going to read first the curses so that everybody hears and knows, if you do such and such, you're going to bring destruction on yourselves and the people, the country. And then, on the other side, other mountain, the blessings. If you follow the Torah law, here's all the blessings that will accrue. It's a strange, but in light of the thematic message of the Torah, a powerful demonstration, physically, visually, auditorily, everything. If you could imagine the nation assembling in a vast plain between these two mountains, and then the blessings and the curses. Now, that's the instruction. Did it ever happen? Yes, according to the book of Joshua. Because in Joshua 8, it specifically notes that this ritual was carried out when the Israelites crossed over. And they said not a word was left out of the ritual, just as Moses and God had commanded. Moses was no longer there. Did it become an annual ritual? We have no idea. We do know that those two mountains held a sacred spot in the life of the ancient Israelites. Shrines, sacred posts were erected there. To this day, that small sect, the Samaritans, are connected to Mount Gerizim. Well, there was breaking news in the world of biblical archaeology this week. As I wrote in my weekly message, I kid you not, you can't make up this stuff. And when it came out in the major magazine of the biblical archaeological world, I was kind of astounded, given that this is the week of the Torah portion. Controversial curse, Mount Ebal tablet published. You know that I love this stuff, so please indulge me. I'll read the big introduction. In early 2022, a research team led by scholars from the Associates of Biblical Research announced the discovery of a small lead tablet from Mount Ebal that they claim contains now the oldest extant Hebrew inscription. When they did the radiocarbon dating of this small little tablet that you can hold in your hand, it came out to late Bronze Age, about 1400 to 1200 BCE. So if the Hebrew inscription is as they say, this is by far. This is hundreds and hundreds of years earlier than the earliest Dead Sea Scroll. This is before the first temple. This is a Hebrew inscription from within a generation or two of the Israelites arriving to the Holy Land, which scholars think was around 1250 BCE. There's only one problem. Half the scholarly world says this is among the most important finds in recent years, and the other half is saying, no, it's not that at all. Now, it's not a question that they're saying it's a fake. The biblical archaeology world has been rocked over the last few decades by many high-profile forgeries. There are people that take ancient manuscripts and ancient stones and try to make, because they can sell it for millions of dollars, forgeries. Even little ivory pomegranates that were thought to have dated to the first temple period. They're saying the scholars, with all their advanced scanning and so forth, are actually seeing a mirage. These are natural indentations in the stone. I can pass around a picture of this, but Christopher Rolston, one of the leading experts in this field, this is what he says. I wish there was a 13th century BCE Hebrew inscription, but there's not. Anyone can look at this image of this so-called inscription and discern there is no real connection between the published images and the author's drawings of the inscription. The published images reveal some striations in the lead and some indentations, but there are no actual discernible letters. Now, some of the best scholars in the world that do this stuff for a living say, yes, there is. And I went back to the scientific paper on this, and they talked about all their scientific methods and they show forth and so on. And there's a recreation here of the ancient Paleo-Hebrew. And then equally prominent scholars are saying, no, you're making this up. What are we to make of something like this? Controversies like this can sometimes go on for decades before anything definitively is known. People are saying, don't make a judgment because the published report is the inside of the stone, and they want to have a look at the outside and the complete stone as well. And there's one more complication. As the end of the article says, perhaps even more significant is the fact that Mount Ebal is located in part of the West Bank today, whose archaeological jurisdiction is the Palestinian Authority. As the excavators did not request a license from the proper authorities, some observers consider the ABR's actions to be illegal. Members of the publication team, however, assert that their dump excavations fell under the original excavation license of the first archaeologist. In other words, Adam Zertel, the original archaeologist, back I think in the 1980s, did some initial work on the mountain and left a lot of archaeological refuse, a pile. So this lead tablet was not found in an actual strata of an excavation, which is what archaeologists want. It was found essentially in dump soil, which immediately raises suspicions. So I'm just bringing you the facts and the interpretations on both sides. Like, I started to read it. I'm so excited. The oldest Hebrew inscription testifying to this incredible Mount Ebal, Mount Gerizim ritual that is described in our Torah portion. Then as I'm reading the rest of the article, it's like, oh no, the whole thing may be a mirage, or fake, and then at the end, it may have been excavated illegally. Who knows? Let me end with this thought. In the Torah portion, the curses far outweigh the blessings. If you go into the Torah, I won't repeat it. Many of them have to do with cursing you for sexual indiscretions, but for abusing power, abusing the poor, all that. There's a whole big list of curses and just a few blessings that are mentioned. There's a bit of an imbalance. Well, that does reflect life sometimes too, especially if you watch the news on a regular basis. Whether or not this is one of the great archaeological discoveries of the 21st century, the whole notion of blessings and curses and the path we choose is, as I've explained, a powerful metaphor, and more than a metaphor in our lives. Let's work together to increase the blessings and decrease the curses. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yes. There's a shot of the stone and then a close-up of the marks and then the artist's rendition of the text. If you read Paleo-Hebrew and hieroglyphics, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The Aleinu, the bottom of page 282, please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גאולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוצר הארץ, ומושב עיקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומי. הוא אלוהינו הנות, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום להשבותה אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחתינו, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
On the Shabbat, we now call to mind in love and reverence those recently taken from us during the Shoshim, during the past 30 days. Jerry Bodian, Enid Alpern, and Phyllis Schwartz. On the Shabbat, we also call to mind in love and reverence the Yortzeit, the anniversary of the passing of Morris Rosen, father of Norm Rosen, Robert Katz, father of Marilyn Katz, Saul Jonas, father of Sandy Jonas. For all those close to our hearts, for all those for whom there may be no one to say Kaddish, we join in the Kaddish prayer on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba be'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei b'hayechon uvyomechon uvchaye d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'gala ugizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach leolam olamei almaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudusha b'reichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlamar Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Please be seated. Except Michael, who we invite up for some welcome and announcements.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi. Maybe on one of your morning rides, you'll find a relic left from George Washington on his retreat through this area.
I would like to.
Keep looking down, and you might find it. And thank you, student Cantor Flaxman, and we look forward to Rosh Hashanah with you. And as many of you may know, student Cantor Joe Flaxman will be offering a weekly adult B'nai Mitzvah class, which includes learning basic Hebrew, some Torah study, and Judaic studies. The class begins on Sunday, September 10th, and will meet weekly on Sundays from 12:30 to 2 p.m. This is a pretty unique opportunity to study with our learned student Cantor. Lots of announcements tonight. The first session of Torah study is next Saturday, September 9th at 10 a.m. And the group will be examining, I guess, for the first half of its session, or is it the entire year, Rabbi Schwartz's latest book, Open Judaism, a guide for believers, atheists, and agnostics. The entire year?
Almost. We're going to start off with some holiday-related things first.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Jewish education, the first day of religious school and also that day of parent orientation is Sunday, September 10th. That same day, Poetry Garden will be meeting at 7 p.m., hopefully on the patio. The following day, Monday, September 11th, the Adas Emuno Book Club will meet via Zoom at 7:30 to discuss a book about Leonard Cohen's time in Israel during the Yom Kippur War of 1973. And even if you haven't read the book, you might want to attend just to learn a little bit more about Leonard Cohen. The high holidays, of course, as the Rabbi has said, are now just 2 weeks away. Our Erev Rosh Hashanah service is on Friday, September 15th, beginning at 8 p.m. And members may bring guests, but should let Virginia Gitter know their names so our ushers can welcome them. Virginia's email address is, write this down, vegitter@aol.com. The morning service for Rosh Hashanah begins at 10 a.m., and then we have our children's service at 2 p.m., our delightful children's service, followed by Tashlich at 3:30 at Overpeck Park. The next day, we'll be having a special religious school program, including the parents. Both, it's sort of a family affair. And then at 9:30 the same day, a Tat Rosh Hashanah program at 9:30. This is an exhausting time of year for announcements.
Confirmation starts that day too.
Oh my goodness. Yes, and our youth group will be forming this month with Adam Cohen as a youth group advisor. How are we signing up for that? Is there a methodology?
To be announced.
To be announced. The details will follow on that. That's going to be a very exciting program. New engraved pavers for our patio just arrived the other day, and we expect them to be installed in time for Rosh Hashanah. And we'll begin taking new orders for pavers shortly. That's about 25 more pavers that are going in. So if you're here, when you're here for Rosh Hashanah, come take a look at the pavers that you ordered installed on our beautiful patio. Thank you, Dylan, for live streaming tonight's service. Tonight's Own Egg is sponsored by Sandy Jonas. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
That oneg includes a chocolate babka, which we'll all share together. On the theme of the season of turning, this is a closing song not in your prayer book. It's an English song from the American Songbook. But when you hear the words, I think you'll understand why the Cantor is bringing it back after introducing it to us last year at this time.
The name of the song is Turning of the World. We're going to sing this song for the turning of the world, for the learning of the world, and the loving of the world. And to quote a dear rabbi friend of mine, remember, love is not leisure, it is work. It is learning every day how to be human.
Let us sing this song for the turning of the world, that we may turn as one. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our turning. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our turning. Let us sing this song for the learning of the world. Let us sing this song for the learning of the world, that we may learn as one. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our learning. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our learning. Let's sing this song for the loving of the world. Let us sing this song for the loving of the world, that we may love as one. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our loving. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our loving. And our lives will feel the echo of our loving.
Shabbat Shalom.